G'day guys, Shawnee from Life and Tennis. In today's video, I just wanted to provide a little career update as this channel is about life and tennis, not just tennis. So in some, I guess, exciting news, bit of a career transition or change. For me, I decided to move away from the freelancing lifestyle and actually accept a job at the NAB, so National Australia Bank in Australia, a fixed term, 6-month term contract, which is probably going to get extended to 12 months. So over the past 3 years, I've basically been freelancing full-time as a content writer or freelance journalist, and mostly focused in the finance area. And I'm also writing for a tennis website called The First Serve. You know, the thought process behind applying for this job is that, you know, I've been really looking to get involved in the tennis industry, in the media. And, you know, I've mentioned in previous videos where I had my first experience at the Australian Open as part of the media for The First Serve, which was a lot of fun. And I am looking to do it again next year in 2025. The freelance lifestyle, it was great for 3 years, but I found that, you know, some months were up, some months were down. You'd be really busy some months, really quiet others, and clients would sort of come and go. Obviously, the benefits of the lifestyle were, you know, it was super flexible. I was always working from home. I didn't really have too many meetings. I was my own boss. It was a lot of fun. But I also found that working from home, not having a lot of structure, you know, especially as a dad of a very active, crazy toddler, 2-year-old, my son, was quite difficult. You know, as he got older, you know, as he became a toddler, I found that, yeah, working from home, especially when my wife, because my wife at the moment is, she's starting her own business, but she's not, you know, sort of working full time. We don't put him in daycare or anything like that. So it was a bit tricky trying to juggle, you know, work and family life and things like that with the freelance lifestyle with a toddler. So just decided this opportunity just came along, and I decided to grab it basically. So yeah, specifically, my role is I'm a content strategist, so it still involves writing. There's obviously a large aspect of writing that goes into the role. So it's not like I'm you know, doing something more on the banky sort of finance side of things. So it is sort of with writing, and it does, I guess it will relate to, or, you know, I'll be able to have maybe transferable skills that I can maybe hopefully use in the, you know, in the tennis media and the tennis industry, you know, in the long run, or in future at least. So yeah, I guess in that sense, it's like when I worked in the corporate world 10 years ago in finance, I was, you know, working more on the financing side of things as a trader and in back office doing all the bank reconciliations, opening accounts, trading itself, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I've sort of, in some respects, it feels like I've come back to finance, but in a completely different capacity, you know, as a writer. So it does feel totally different. I feel like it's a new type of role. I feel like a new person. You know, it just doesn't feel like the same corporate world that, you know, I was used to 15 years ago when I first got into that world, you know, after uni. So yeah, I suppose that's one of the reasons why I did take the role as well, why I did take the job in the end. And yeah, I just think it's something that a role that I can grow with and learn a lot from that experience as well. But yeah, one thing I have noticed already, funnily enough, in this role is from some of the people that I've been meeting. There's a couple of, it's just interesting where people have come from. Like, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of people who have been there for, you know, like 10, 15, 20 years. You know, like I met someone on my first day who was considered one of the more senior people in my sort of content management or digital team. And she'd been there for 5 years and she was considered senior. So when I was, back when I got my first job, 14 years ago after uni, you know, people that were senior were, 10, 15, 20 years had been there, or had been in the industry at least for that long. So it's funny how, in that sense, what someone is considered as senior. And I guess it also speaks to the length of time people stay at jobs and they move around within the company or move around within different companies, So, and one thing I noticed as well is that there are a few other people who have come from more creative backgrounds like myself. So There's someone I met who's actually a photographer, like a music photographer, who sort of came from that world and then went into the corporate side of things. She's a designer, but I guess she comes from that, creative sort of side in the music industry. And there was someone else also who's, worked in the music industry as well. So it's just funny how people, move around, have all these different career shifts. Not unsimilar to myself. So I found that really, really interesting to just see where people have come from, where they end up, and how they progress in their careers. So as I said, for me, this doesn't feel like a, maybe not a long-term goal at this stage, but at the moment it feels right. And, hopefully, as I said, I'll learn a lot from the experience and be able to use the skills that I've picked up and the experience that I've gotten in that time to really, to utilize them in the tennis industry in the future. My initial sort of thought process so far, I'm only about 3 weeks into the job, and I guess what I've noticed so far is that a lot has changed pretty much the last time I worked in the corporate world was basically 10 years ago. So I worked, as I mentioned before, I worked for a hedge fund, trading the world's largest Forex markets and futures markets. And I also had a job at a stockbroking firm where I was in the back office. So that was 10 years ago when I last had a job in those companies. And in terms of like the work environment itself, back then it was always 5 days a week going to work, 9 to 5, pretty standard. Whereas nowadays you've got hybrid working environment, which I've got at the moment with NAB, which is great. So I only have to go in 2 days a week. So the flexibility, from a flexibility point of view, it's not necessarily that much different to the freelance lifestyle, which is really good. It really suits me. And also, to be honest, I don't mind going into the office as well from time to time because, it gets me out of the house. It mixes up my routine. Plus I get to actually, collaborate a bit more in person with the team. So, which moves me on to my second point about, just learning the hierarchy of the organization itself and just getting my head around different teams that I'm working with and things like that. Has been a challenge, but it has been a lot of fun, and has been good to, work with a team and, have just a larger group of people that I'm, collaborating with on projects and things like that and on work, which I haven't had in a long, long time. And I find when you run solo as a freelancer, it's, you're the one that's creating your own deadlines. You're the one that's, setting aside tasks and things like that, which is obviously all good. But sometimes, you can have times where you've got to really be strict with yourself, and it's really easy to procrastinate and to get a bit lazy. Whereas when you're working in an organization like the NAB, you can't do that. So, which is really good actually, keeps you in check. But also there's still that element of flexibility where you can, work from home. Your time is still relatively flexible. If you want to start early, you can, and finish early. You can go into the office and leave at lunchtime and then finish your work at home. They're very flexible with that, which is really, really good. It suits my lifestyle. And I think also on the third point of, the benefits that I'm finding with working with the NAB or a big organization is that I really think it's going to, there's lots of things I'm going to learn from this job. So it'll be the experience itself, but also there's an element of, new skills, new programs, new systems that I've, never used before, which I think will benefit me, in the media in the long run, whether I, get involved with an organization like Tennis Australia or Tennis Victoria or like a tennis body in a media capacity. The fact that I've worked at a big organization like NAB and I kind of know my way around, working around different teams, using different software, things like, content management systems and stuff, for example, to basically write my content and things like that. I think it will be really beneficial from that point of view. So first impressions, early days, but really enjoying it, and I think it's going to be a great experience for me. And I just think the universe was really, I was trying to trust my intuition. I think the universe was trying to tell me, because I'd had a few rejections from other jobs, from Tennis Australia and things like that. So I think the universe was basically trying to tell me, maybe, park that, the tennis jobs industry to the side for now and go for this opportunity while I'm still, writing for the First Serve and still doing my tennis writing. But this opportunity just seemed like it was kind of calling out to me. So as I said, it's a contract role as opposed to like a full-time, a full-time job. So, in 12 months, I'll reassess and see where I'm at, I suppose. But yeah, in other news, in terms of on the tennis side of things, some of you who have watched my previous videos may have noticed that I was on the First Serve radio program a few weeks ago. I actually interviewed Brett Phillips, the broadcaster, really quite well-known Australian broadcaster who does all the, commentates and broadcasts for all the Grand Slam tennis tournaments for the wide world of sports on Channel 9 in Australia. And yeah, he does various other MC and commentating duties, around the traps. He's been around for a long, long time. So yeah, he's the one that runs the First Serve platform, basically, which covers, online, radio, print, all of that. So yeah, I interviewed him for this channel, for my own channel, Life and Tennis, and I was also part of the radio program a few weeks ago, and we were basically talking about the latest wider appeal, with Sinner's sort of Yannick Sinner's doping case. And yeah, basically my thoughts around, whether it was good or bad for tennis, which I actually wrote a piece for on the First Serve website, which I'll put a link in the comments below or in the description. So that was a lot of fun, really great experience to be involved from a radio point of view, because I've never really been involved in radio, so that was really good to get that experience. I'll also send a link, or share a link, of that interview, because there's a 10-minute snippet of the interview or the radio spot that I had on the First Serve program, and then there'll be you can check out the video of the actual interview that I conducted with Brett Phillips himself, which is in another video on this channel as well. You can check that one out, because that was a fascinating one as well, getting the insights of someone who is the one that normally is asking questions but was actually facing questions from me, and he does more of the the commentating, broadcasting duties, as opposed to the one that's that's in the spotlight and things like that. So and that's, I guess, what this channel is all about, as well as putting a spotlight on anyone that works in the tennis industry, whether you're a tennis player, coach, or whether you work in the media, the broadcasting side of things, whether you're whatever capacity you're working in the tennis industry. So yeah, got some fascinating insights from the great man Brett Phillips. But yeah, guys, that's about it from me. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts, whether any of my story, my career sort of journey is resonating with you. Because obviously we all have our, day jobs and things like that. And tennis is such a massive part of our lives that we're so passionate about tennis. So just really keen to hear whether, my story has resonated with you, or any, career updates that you guys have had in your respective careers, and how tennis fits in your world as well. Comment below. And as always, please like and subscribe for more tennis and life related content. Cheers, guys.